June 16th, 2021 TNO meeting, where I am the mayor of the TNO, and all of the municipal mayors are councillors. So in this meeting, I'll be addressing you as councillor rather than mayor. So we'll begin with the opening of the meeting. Could I have someone move a resolution? Moved by Councillor Dion. All those in favor? Opposed? And that carries. And now we will do the attendance. So please say present or présente when I call your name. Winston Sundstrom. Sorry, Winston, you're first on the list.
Présent.
Okay, merci. Carl Mayer.
Here.
Brent Orr.
Present.
Alain Gagnon.
Présent.
Maurice Beauregard.
Présent.
Donald Gagnon.
Present.
John Armstrong.
Present.
Debbie Laporte.
Présente.
Serge Newberry.
Présent.
Kim Cartier-Villeneuve.
Présente.
Gilles Dion.
Présent.
Lynn Cameron.
Présente.
James Gibson.
Present.
Sandra Murray.
Present.
Doris Ranger. Is Doris on yet? Okay, we'll come back. Colleen LaRiviere.
Present.
Karen Kelly.
Present.
David Rochon.
Present.
Bernard Waugh.
Présent.
Annie Vaillancourt.
Present.
Travis Laddister.
Présent.
Jason Durand.
Present.
Kim Lesage.
Present.
Natasha Guimet.
Present.
Julian Gagnon.
Present.
Colleen Jones.
Present.
Cindy Phillips.
Present.
Alex Savoy-Perron.
Présent.
And we also have Matthias Peloquin joining us this evening. I guess he will be present when we come to his agenda item. Thank you very much for that. I'd like to also draw your attention to the fact that we're being joined by the local media, as well as citizens of the Pontiac through Facebook Live. So welcome to everyone. And of course, this is being recorded as is mandated. And this is what item 2 is about, that it is a ministerial decree that our meetings be video recorded. And we do hope, we have no meeting in July, but we do hope in August that we will be together face to face and not require Zoom. Number 3, the declaration, use of the language of your choice. Déclaration réitérant l'importance pour les membres du conseil régional et les autres participants à la séance de s'exprimer librement dans la langue de leur choix et la présence sur place d'une ressource pour assurer une traduction au besoin. So this is simply a statement reiterating the importance for our regional council members and other participants in the sitting to express themselves freely in the language of their choice, and the presence of a resource on site to ensure translation if necessary. The declaration, which is a statement that is being given by me, and it is known as the Declaration of Decorum. We are elected to represent the residents of the Pontiac. They expect us to conduct the business of the MRC Pontiac in a businesslike and congenial fashion. If there are any comments that are negative or critical of another person, I will stop the proceedings and ask that person to apologize. Number 5, the reading and adoption of the agenda. Could I have someone move that resolution, please? Moved by Councillor Cartier-Villeneuve. All those in favor? Opposed? And that carries. Go on to number 6. Are there any declarations of conflict of interest or conflict of interest with this agenda? Okay, seeing none. Number 7, we need a resolution to adopt the minutes of the May 19th sitting. Moved by Councillor Gibson. All those in favor? Opposed? And that carries. Number 8, we have a presentation. But is this oh, pardon me. You know something? I just realized I was following the agenda for the regular council meeting, so we are not having a presentation. So actually the adoption of the minutes of the last sitting, it was still the same day. Now we go to the questions from the public. And we have one question concerning the TNO agenda. And I will refer to it now. And this is has been sent in to us by Councillor Jean-Pierre Landry of the Campbell's Bay Council. And this is his question. Why are the leased properties in the TNO not put up for sale for non-payment of taxes? And our manager of territory, Jason Durand, has asked to answer it. Jason?
Yes, hello, everybody. Good evening. Well, this has been attempted a few years ago, but because of the complexity of the process, it was aborted. So it means that it's very complicated. The notaries were asking for surveyor files, a very costly process, and the MERN were not involved in this process at all. So as you know, we're dealing here with leases that has to be in conformity with the MERN, which is on Crown land. So the real way of dealing with this, in other words, delinquent clients, is by revoking the lease, and when possible, to attribute these lease through a draw. So this is pretty much the new way, the way of working out this situation is mostly by revoking the lease and going exactly with that process.
Okay, thank you, Jason. Are there any questions of Jason on this or comments? Okay, I think
I have one, Jane.
yes, go ahead, Councillor Dion.
Once the lease is revoked, what happens, Jason? Do they put it back up for grabs, like through tirage au sort?
Yeah, just like I said, there's an analyze. This is done with the MERN as well. There's different situation. So in certain case, when it's possible, we go with a draw to put back this lease into in action, we could say.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments or questions? Okay, thank you, Jason. We'll go on to number 9, accounts paid. And I'll ask Annie Viancourt, our treasurer. Go ahead, finance director.
Good evening. Good evening, everyone. So for the TNO, we have, as usual, the income statement showing revenues and expenses so far this year. As for the accounts receivables, we're at $80,114.54. But of that, there's a little over $75,000 that is owed from the Ministère des Forêts Fonds. Then we have expenses in the last month were $70,551.07. In those expenses, we had $9,629 for road maintenance and a little over $60,000 paid for management and salaries, etc., paid to the MRC for the TNO management. Other than that, there's just a few small expenses for gas for the vehicles and stuff. Yeah, that's it.
Are there any questions or comments on Annie's report? Okay, seeing none. Thanks very much, Annie. So now we will go to number 10, which is the authorization for voting by mail for citizens aged 70 years and over for the TNO. And we need a resolution first to approve Annie's report. Yes, moved by. Thank you very much. We'll say Councillor Donnie Gagnon. All those in favor? Opposed, and that carries. Number 10, the authorization for voting by mail, citizens age 70 and over will need a resolution. Bernard Waugh.
Yes, thank you. As you know, the municipal election this year will be held in a context of COVID-19 pandemic. And in order to mitigate the risks of spreading this pandemic, and also to facilitate the conduct of municipal election, the Act respecting election and referendum in municipalities has been amended. And in accordance with this amended Act respecting election and referendum in the municipalities, the TNO as a municipality could adopt a resolution to allow any person who is registered on its electoral list and who is 70 years of age and older on the polling day to exercise his right to vote by mailing if he requests it to the president of the local president of the election, myself. And to allow this, a resolution must be passed, and a copy of this resolution must be sent as soon as possible after its adoption to the MAMASH and also to the DGAQ. And if we agree, we are asking you to propose this resolution and to vote on it.
Okay, thank you, Bernard. Any comments or questions of Bernard?
Yes, Bernard, that's basically for TNO, right?
Yeah.
As a municipality, yes.
Thank you.
Can everyone see the resolution? Great. Could I have someone move the resolution? Moved by Councillor Kelly. All those in favor? Opposed, and that carries. Number 11, the entrance for the TNO garage. We have a resolution. Kim Lesage.
Hello. So in August of 2019, we resolved to construct a new access for the future TNO garage from Highway 148. Since then, a plan was prepared and approved by the MTQ. So the approximate cost for the demolition of the existing unsafe access and construction of the new entrance on the new property, including a new culvert, is estimated at $9,720 and to be paid by the TNO. It is therefore proposed to authorize the Director General to sign a service contract with Ces Entreprises Brian Stanton for the construction of the work relating to this new entrance.
Okay, any comments or questions? Okay, seeing none, could I have someone move this resolution, please? Moved by Councillor Beauregard. All those in favor? Opposed, and that carries. Number 12, crushed gravel stockpile for Jim Lake Road. Jason Durand, and we'll have a resolution.
Yes, as you know, we have put a lot of money on Jims Lake Road in the last few years. So to maintain this road, it was decided last year to crush some stone. So to put during winter hauling of wood transport. So instead of putting sand, putting crushed stone to help to maintain the road. So in other words, we're going again with this idea. So asking resolution to go ahead with this project.
Okay, any comments or questions? I'm sure we all agree this needs to be done. Could I have someone move that? Moved by Councillor Dion. All those in favor? Opposed, and that carries.
Jane, could I just add something for the Jims Lake Road?
Oh, you'd like it added into the resolution?
No, it's just as discussion. It's just that hier soir, je suis allé, Jason, puis je sais pas si tu es au courant, mais on a vu un post cette semaine sur Facebook aussi, puis j'ai remarqué qu'il y avait beaucoup moins de gravel sur le chemin. On dirait qu'elle était soit poussée ou diminuée. Ou, là, 2-3 ans, c'était une des raisons pourquoi que j'avais emmené ça à la MRC. On avait juste mis 4 pouces de gravel, puis techniquement, ça en aurait pris un bon 8. Puis là, on est déjà commencé à sentir l'effet du manque de gravel là, au niveau du millage, là, je dirais à partir du 26 aller jusqu'au 32. So what I was saying is I noticed that there's a lot less gravel on that road since they put it on, from mileage 26 to 32. I don't know what happened, but it seems that there's a lot less. So they passed the grader this week there yesterday, and it's not as bad as I thought, but still there's some missing. I don't know what happened to that. I don't know if we were shortchanged when they did the work, or anyways, probably try to look into that, please.
If I may add something, Gilles, as well, and Jason. I agree with Gilles, the road is very rough, but I also noticed this winter I spent a lot of time up there. It seemed to me a lot of it was being pushed off with the grader while it was plowed in the winter as well.
Scraped off.
So the road's in a terrible condition, and not just the 32, Gilles. I know the main cottages are at 32, but right up, the whole road is terrible. Last weekend was the worst I've seen it in a long time.
Yeah,
Morris?
they graded it last week there, well, yesterday, so it's a lot better today.
Morris, just a question. How can we avoid the gravel being scraped in the winter?
I don't know, put more or pack it, but
Yeah.
I could, anyways, I just wanted to say I did notice it this winter being pushed off the road
Okay.
when it was being plowed.
Oui, c'est
Jason?
certain, je peux répondre aussi, tu sais, c'est certain, c'est un travail en continu, hein, l'entretien d'un chemin comme le chemin du gym, c'est pas juste mettre de la gravelle une année, comme je dis, c'est un travail en continu. On sait aussi des fois la gravelle est pas juste tout le temps, on passe tout le temps qu'elle est poussée sur ses côtés, mais il y a un gros paquet aussi qui est compacté aussi. Donc, il y a l'effet de compaction qui se fait aussi. Donc, comme je dis, Gilles, on est ouvert à regarder ça. Nous autres, notre but, c'est de faire le mieux qu'on peut avec le budget qu'on a, puis travailler conjointement aussi avec les autres joueurs qui utilisent le chemin du gym, que ce soit le ministère, l'industrie, Rex-Forêt. Donc, j'en prends note, puis je peux juste dire qu'on fait le mieux qu'on peut avec l'argent qu'on a disponible, mais je suis quand même ouvert aux commentaires, puis on va faire le mieux qu'on peut. Donc, mais il faut quand même que le monde comprenne. C'est pas statique, ça c'est pas quelque chose que tu règles une journée puis c'est fini après. Tu sais, avec la pluie, la crue, le va-et-vient, on l'a dit, c'est toujours un travail en continu, puis c'est ça qu'il ne faut pas oublier. Là.
Ben, je peux te dire, ça m'a pris presque 12 ans pour être capable d'avoir de la gravelle sur ce chemin-là. Là. C'était un de mes dossiers que j'ai travaillé, puis ça m'a pris au moins 12 ans, presque 12 ans. Fait que, tu sais, on comprend, c'est long.
Okay.
Jane?
Councillor Gibson, go ahead.
Yes, our contractor, Pat Stewart, puts lifters on the bottom of his blade, like 1 or 2 inches when he does the gravel roads, so he doesn't push the gravel off. This works out very good for us. So the snow's maybe 1 inch deep when he takes it off the road.
Well, that's excellent. Sounds like a good solution.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, thank you for your comments, and I'm sure Jason has noted all that. Okay, thanks so much. We'll go on to number 13, which is a demande de financement pour la construction d'un chemin de 310 mètres, raccordement entre 2 chemins existants afin de contourner un pont fermé. A resolution, Jason?
Yeah, this would be a financial agreement with the ZEC, St. Patrick ZEC. In other words, it's to building 300 meters of road to connect 2 existing roads, and this would permit to bypass a closed bridge, and this would give access to Dunn Lake, Raymond Lake, and other lakes, as well as a resort lease. So I think this is a going resolution to go ahead with this project for an amount of maximum of $8,000 for the project.
8,000, okay. Could I have someone move that resolution, please? Moved by? Okay, I'm glad someone put their hand up. Councillor LaRiviere, thank you so much. All those in favor? Opposed, and that carries. And now we have a resolution to close the sitting. Could someone move that? Moved by, that's an
No, I
easy
think
one.
you missed one, Jane. You're on the, I don't know if you have the right agenda.
Oh, yep, number 14. Request for a financial contribution for the cleaning and digging of ditches on Wright Lake Road, 18 kilometers. Resolution, Jason?
Yes, hello. This is again a partnership with the Association of Lac Colton, Bertrand, and Wright to help them out to do the ditching cleaning on Lac Wright on 18 kilometers. So again, this is a contribution of maximum of $8,000. So a resolution, please, for this project.
Okay, moved by Councillor Beauregard. And the closing of the sitting goes to Councillor Newberry, who had his hand up first. All those in favor? Opposed, and that carries. Okay, we'll go on now. Welcome to the monthly Regional Council of Mayors meeting for the MRC Pontiac, June 16th. And we've already done the attendance, but I need a resolution to open the meeting. Moved by Mayor Debbie Laporte. All those in favor? Opposed? And that carries. Just a reminder for information that by ministerial decree, because of COVID-19, we need to video record these meetings. They will be posted by our communications director by tomorrow. And we're also on Facebook Live. So welcome to everyone in the Pontiac who is tuned in. We will go to number 3. The declaration, the use of the language of your choice. And so basically we are saying that les membres du conseil régional et les autres participants à la séance de s'exprimer librement dans la langue de leur choix et la présence sur place d'une ressource pour assurer une traduction au juin. And it means that we and other participants in the sitting can express ourselves freely in the language of our choice, and there is the presence of a resource on site to ensure translation if necessary. Number 4, statement by the warden, the declaration of decorum. We are elected to represent the residents of the Pontiac. They expect us to conduct the business of the MRC Pontiac in a businesslike and congenial fashion. If there are any comments that are negative or critical of another person, I will stop the proceedings and ask that person to apologize. Thank you. Go on to reading and adoption of the agenda. I need a resolution. And I believe here we need to add 2 items to the agenda. Is that correct, Travis?
Yes, thank you, Madam Warden.
Would you like to introduce those?
Yes, for sure. So we need to seek the consent of mayors for the addition, as you pointed out, of 2 new items to the agenda. So
Yes.
these items have come up after the agenda was circulated to members of the council last week. So there are 2 items both requiring a decision tonight, so a resolution. The first one is a resolution concerning assessment, which would fall under the general administration section, and the subsequent item that we need to look at possibility of adding tonight pertains to the forestry action plan, which stems from a recommendation of the forestry committee that was held on Monday of this week. So these 2 items would make their way to the agenda if members of council agree to that tonight.
So we should have a resolution to add those to the agenda. Could I have someone move that resolution, please? Moved by Mayor Gilles Dion. All those in favor? Opposed? And those are added. Thank you. Are there any declarations of conflict of interest?
Yes, Jane, it's Winston. I am declaring a conflict of interest on agenda item number 15.2. And I assume I won't be counted as a vote for or against if there's a resolution there.
Okay. Do you want to leave the meeting for any discussion? Or
no, I can declare a conflict of interest and not participate in the discussion and not vote.
Very good. Thank you. So number 7, we will go on and we need a resolution to adopt the minutes of the May 19th sitting. Moved by Mayor Donnie Gagnon. All those in favor? Opposed? And that carries. We're now going to have a presentation, which our Economic Development Director, Cindy Phillips, I believe, will introduce from Visage Régionaux, Monsieur Matthias Pelican. Go ahead, Cindy.
Yes, good evening. So this evening we have with us Mr. Mathias Peloquin from Visage Réunion. Mathias has been working with the MRC for quite some time now on the elaboration of our new strategic development plan, Vision 2030. I hope Mathias is online and with us. He has a presentation to make to you tonight prior to the official adoption of our new strategic development plan.
Thank you, Cindy. I'll just share my screen. So please confirm when you can see it.
C'est bon, Mathias.
You can see it.
We can see it, Mathias.
All right. My name is Mathias Peloquin. I'm with Visage Réunion, and I've had the pleasure of accompanying the economic development team in the last 6 months in the development of the strategic development plan. What I'm going to present to you tonight is not so much the plan in detail, because you've all had copies of it available, and I assume you've all took a moment to read it and examine it. So what I'm going to present to you tonight is the process that we went through in the making of the Vision 2030 Strategic Development Plan. So first off, I'll start with the context. So this is really the starting point of the elaboration of the Vision 2030. There are 3 elements that I pulled from the report, final report. So the first one is the context, the initial situation that was the starting point of this exercise. So the MRC Pontiac is facing important territorial challenges. Among them are aging population, loss of local services, a median income among the lowest in Quebec, and low economic diversification since the 2008 forestry crisis. In addition to that, the context also brings important opportunities that could, if seized, allow the MRC to distinguish itself and inscribe the continuation of its development against the current of the last few years. And finally, we've also realized that the MRC team currently in place, as well as the elected officials, have expressed a clear determination to do things differently and to adopt a strategic development plan that will allow real gains to be made with the resources available while promoting the implementation of structuring tools for larger scale projects. The approach that we took to come up with the strategic development plan, first we used the data and the forms or the information that was compiled during the public consultations last fall. That was a starting point. We identified the key issues and challenges. We've also conducted a workshop with ODO, Observatoire du Développement de l'Outaouais, on metrics, key metrics of the Outaouais region. And then we had 3 main blocks of working sessions. The first one was based around key finding, strategic assets, strengths of the MRC, key partners and stakeholders, trends and dynamics, metrics, as well as opportunities. The second working sessions were centered around the identification of orientations, evaluation of opportunities, as well as risk assessments. And finally, we had a third block of working sessions around action plans, success factors, and accountabilities. We then moved on to the result adoption phase. So we presented a first draft to the elected officials. We made adjustments to the plan as well as the action plans. And then we presented the final version of the Vision 2030, which is the one you're going to adopt tonight. The main objectives of this process was to come up with a shared vision, seek synergies between the community and local stakeholders, identify the promising sectors for the future, and make sure that the action plans are aligned with available resources. The strategic development plan can be summed up in the 3 elements here: mission, vision, and values. So if we take, for example, the mission, the Pontiac's mission is to preserve and promote our natural resources, make bilingualism a pillar of attractiveness, and build and embody a culture of development. If we go to the vision, in 2030, the Pontiac is a territory that embraces its originality and is chosen for its potential and abundance, a land of diversity where everyone can take root and flourish. Renewed and current, it's a proud, creative, and inclusive territory. The values that have been identified, the 4 main values are solidarity, respect, generosity, and vitality. And hopefully these values will carry us forward as we plan the next 10 years of strategic development. We strive to develop our territory with integrity, transparency, collaboration, and innovation. Working on the strategic development plan, we've identified the main pillars of development. Those are tourism, culture and heritage, economic growth, agriculture, socio-community development, environment, and forestry. In the final report, the final strategic development plan, we will find a strategic map which sums up the main ideas behind the strategic development plan. So I'll start from the bottom, the driving forces that we are trying to harness with this development plan: the access to financial resources, interest in the regions by city dwellers, a strong network of partners, a strong team within the organization, and a distinctive character for the region. Our pillars of development, as I mentioned, are tourism, culture and heritage, economic growth, agriculture, socio-community development, environment, and forestry. This will have a positive impact on both the citizen perspective as well as the organization perspective. From a citizen perspective, it will provide a sense of pride and belonging. It will provide for the citizens a space to realize their dreams. And those dreams can be related to work, leisure, and family, and as well as succession. From an organization standpoint, the plan wishes to bring a vision that brings people together, as well as innovative ideas. We wish to carry a vision that makes our organization at the service of our clients and make our choices based on sustainable developments. At the top of the map, we see the markers that have been identified to measure the success of the plan. Those markers are total population, median income, worker ratio in the age group of 25 to 64, as well as the number of active businesses in the territory. So by 2030, we hope to have had an impact positive on all of those markers, and we will be able to measure the successes with those markers. The plan contains action plans. The way the development plan has been scaffolded, all of the pillars have respective axes. They also have initiatives as well as actions. Actions are typically elements that can be carried on a short period of times. Initiatives group a number of actions, and axes are orientations that the MRC is willing to take to achieve development. I've just added a sample of the action plan because you have access to the full version, just to put that into context. So as you can see in the document, we have axes, initiatives, and actions. We also have a column for expected results. So for every action that's in the development plan, you will find the expected results associated to it. We also added an element of measure, as well as a time horizon. So there will be elements that need to be done in the short term, other in the medium and long term. We've identified the stakeholders that are responsible for carrying out those actions, as well as the partners that will need to be involved. One of the goals of the exercise was to make every partner accountable for what's in the plan. So we've made sure to make that a part of the action plan. So I just wanted to give you an overview of the process we went through to come up with the development, and I will turn it over to you if you have any questions.
Many of you have been playing a part in this, and you have had the opportunity to ask questions, but are there any public questions or comments that anyone has at this point? Okay, excellent. So no questions at this point.
Okay. I just want to thank you very much, Cindy and team, for your efforts and the hard work you put into this exercise.
Thank you very much, Matthias. It's been a great pleasure working with Visage Réunion and yourself, and it's nice to see this important plan come to fruition for the Pontiac. Thank you.
Exactly. Thank you very much, Cindy, to you and your team. And thank you, Matthias. That was excellent. We're excited about it, and I'm sure everybody watching also it benefited. Thank you. Okay, I'd like to at this point do the warden's report. So since the last council meeting, I had a meeting with Andre Fortin. We had a number of advisory committee meetings towards the strategic vision. I was invited to a meeting where Minister Fitzgibbon was listening to the pilot project that had been worked on by some of the wardens in the Outaouais. It was mainly concerning Fortress, and they were hoping for substantial funding, and it was not given at that time. I had a meeting with some investors interested in investing in the Pontiac. 2 days, I participated with 2 days of interviews for an MRC position. I attended the tree day that we held, and I'm sure that it was very successful in the various municipalities that also held tree days. I attended the one here at the MRC. Attended the virtual cafe for energy opportunities in Quebec, which was hosted by Hydro-Quebec. Attended a CPO meeting, the other wardens in the Outaouais. I participated in the FCM 2021, which would have been great to have attended in person, but instead it was their first virtual one. It lasted 4 days, and I participated in a number of workshops. Learned quite a bit, which I will be passing on. I'll give a report at our next plenary meeting, actually in August. We had our usual pandemic due coronavirus meetings. Had an obstetrics committee meeting. Had a phone call with Bill Kane Jr. from Commonwealth Plywood. We had a Piscine Pontiac Pool Committee meeting, which actually was the AGA, so I attended it. A meeting with Energy Davidson and Mayor Dion, a meeting regarding Lac du Mont with Jason Durant, CSP meeting, a tour of the old Javalco mill, visited Lac du Mont, a meeting with the MERN concerning Lac du Mont, our plenary meeting, a CPAWS meeting about protection of our rivers, an HR committee meeting, the FRR Volet 1 analysis with Cindy Phillips and Bernard Waugh. And I had a meeting last Friday with Julie Kinnear, who is the new CAO for Tourism Outaouais, and I attended the TDSP AGA. Any questions on my report? Okay, thank you. That's just for information. Now we come to the events around the 18 municipalities, and I'll use the attendance sheet so that I don't leave anyone out. So we'll begin with Mayor Sundstrom at L'Île aux Allumettes.
Nothing to report.
Thank you. Mayor
Nothing to report.
Mayor Orr from Bristol.
Nothing to report.
Mayor Alain Gagnon from Bryson.
Nothing definite now. I'm sure anything that will come up will be on Facebook or somewhere. I know there's discussion about a picnic early August for the sea pie supper, but it's up in the air for now. So stay tuned with Facebook.
Yes, after a year and a half or more being so confined and restricted, it's almost an adjustment to get used to the fact that we're in the yellow zone heading into the green zone. And, you know, as things open up, I'm sure your municipalities will be getting more involved. Go to Councillor Beauregard from Campbell's Bay.
Nothing to add at this moment, just that our splash pad is open, and I'm glad to say it's being used great, and it's nice to see people from every town coming around. Thank you very much.
Great, excellent. Mayor Donnie Gagnon from Chichester. Mayor Donnie Gagnon from Chichester, sorry.
Nothing to report.
Okay, thank you. Mayor John Armstrong from Clarendon.
Nothing to report.
Okay. Mayor Debbie Laporte from Fort Collonges.
Nothing to report.
Mayor Serge Newberry from L'Île de Grand Calumet.
Pretty quiet over here, nothing to report.
Okay. Pro Warden Kim Cartier-Villeneuve from Otter Lake.
Nothing to report.
Mayor Jill Dion from Mansfield.
Yes, on June the 26th, there will be ciné-parc gratuit au centre récréatif à La Réunion. It's paid by Fort Collonges and Mansfield. It will start at dusk, so around 9 o'clock, say. It'll be a movie. The name of the movie is Sonic. And then on July 31st, le 31 juillet, c'est le rallye de bateau de Pontiac, the Pontiac Boat Rally. It'll start at 10 o'clock in the morning, and it starts at Davidson Dock. So anybody that wants to do the rally, the proceeds will go to Maison de la Famille de la Pontiac.
So this is a rally on the Ottawa River.
Yeah.
When did you last have one?
I'm not sure if they had one last week, but last year, but they're having one this year.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Mayor Lynn Cameron from Portage de Fort.
Nothing here.
Thank you. Mayor Jim Gibson from Rapide des Joachim.
Yes, on July 10th, we have an antique car show. We're expecting over 40 cars at it, and there will be food and pop.
Is that being put on by your downtown committee?
Yes, that's right, yes.
Thank you. Mayor Sandra Murray, Shawville.
Yes, on July 1st, we are going to have a July 1st parade, which is spearheaded by the Shawville Lions Club. I think it's going to be at 1 o'clock, but that's tentative, but it will be on Facebook and it will be advertised. We also are going to, at dusk on July 1st, probably 9 o'clock at night, have a fireworks display.
Okay, that's great. Thank you very much. Mayor Doris Ranger. Has Doris joined us yet? I'm sorry, I hadn't noticed. Natasha, is Doris Ranger with us? Have you noticed?
No, I don't believe so.
Okay. Thanks, that's unusual. Mayor Colleen LaRiviere from Litchfield.
Well, just our splash pad is also open, so it's being used. The kids are really enjoying it, so that's about it.
That's wonderful. Thanks so much. Mayor Karen Kelly from Thorne.
Nothing to report.
Okay. Mayor David Rochon from Waltham.
Nothing to report.
Okay, thank you very much for taking the time to do that. Okay, next we will go to the e-questions from the public. So we have two questions. Question both again from Councillor Jean-Pierre Landry of Campbell's Bay Council. First question is, while visiting the MRC website recently, I noticed that one of the 4 promotional videos of our region had been removed. What is the reason for this? And what was the cost of these videos? So I'm going to answer this one. So the attraction video project was a series of 4 videos aimed at specific target segments, notably professionals in specific sectors, and as a way to attract professionals to the Pontiac. This project was funded in part by the Government of Quebec through the Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing. The total cost of the video series project was $16,750. This provided us with not only the video clips, but imagery, as well as stock for our image bank at the MRC to be used in many communications and promotions. There was a concern expressed over one of the videos for a possible perceived conflict of interest, which concerned a professional who came from Toronto that was featured. And I too had expressed my concerns as this person was recently employed in my business. And so I decided it was in the best interest of the Pontiac, and as far as I'm concerned, whether it's a true conflict or not, if it's even perceived, it's a conflict. And so it was my decision to remove the video from our attraction website. However, the photography and raw footage remains the property of the MRC and may be used in other projects in the future or by partners such as the SADC. And his third question, or second for the council meeting, also from Councillor Jean-Pierre Landry from the Campbell's Bay Council, was since the forestry file is on the MRC priorities list, who is holding this file and where are we landed? Have any document studies been provided to the Council of Mayors in regards with the ongoing projects? So as we know, Jason Durand is our staff person on forestry, and definitely forestry is a priority for MRC Pontiac. And the forestry committee, MRC Forestry Committee, which 4 mayors sit on, as well as myself and members of the community, has a draft strategic plan. And at our recent meeting this week, it was decided that at this point, we should hire an experienced forestry company to help create our action plan. We'll be voting on that later tonight. Personally, I have spent the past 3.5 years cultivating excellent relationships with the MFFP and Minister Dufour. I chair the MRC Forestry Committee, and so actually at that Forestry Committee, I give regular reports. And we also had a Lac-a-Lay Paul recently, which was completely themed on forestry. And I also reported a lot of, I would say, confidential information. We're also researching a community forest for the Pontiac and a forestry school with the CHSBO. I have also recently asked Will Amos about the possibility of continued research through the National Research Council. This is concerning our biopark, and he has given me some excellent advice. I'm also on the FQM Forestry Committee, as well as the Outaouais Crees Committee. I've worked with Commonwealth Plywood at Rapide des Joachim and Mayor Gibson because it is the great hope of Rapide to reopen that mill. And there is a plan in place which could result in a reopening this year. I have also worked with Energy Davidson and Mayor Dion, and we are hopeful that some new additions to the original plan will receive a green light, and more about that later. And finally, I have met with 2 potential groups who are interested in purchasing Javelco. So I think that answers his questions.
Warden Toller?
Yes.
If I may cut in, can you confirm for me I believe these questions were sent in by Jean-Pierre Landry, a concerned citizen. Nowhere did he sign the municipality of Campbell's Bay. Can you confirm that for me?
What I can confirm is that when you're an elected person, you're always an elected person. And it's actually your duty to name yourself as an elected person. So that is why I felt it was important to say Councillor Jean-Pierre Landry.
Can you just confirm for me though, did he sign Councillor Jean-Pierre Landry or not?
It says Jean-Pierre Landry, but I think it's
not, because the questions did not come from municipality.
No,
That's
they
all I
didn't
wanted
come.
to-
Oh, I
Thank you.
see. Well, thanks.
Because I think it's a perceived conflict that it's coming from the council. It was sent to you by Jean-Pierre Landry, a concerned citizen, not councillor. Thank you.
Well, he is a councillor. We can't separate that. But if you want to clarify that your council didn't send the questions, I accept that.
Yeah, and I just want to clarify, did he not sign councillor on his name, please, if you can? Just so I have it.
I already
Yeah.
answered the question,
Yeah.
Mayor Beauregard, but he
Thank
is
you.
a councillor. Thank you.
Thank you.
But he didn't come from your council. Thank you. Okay. After that clarification, we'll go on to a follow-up on coronavirus. Basically, as we all know, the border reopened today. And I think we can say that we were all ready for this and very happy about this, particularly because of the way the border was being treated, the way people from Ontario were being waved in, and the way it was very difficult for residents of Quebec to go to Ontario. And I received many emails, many phone calls, many concerns about this, and I did speak to the OPP about it. So very happy that our Premier has now, and Premier of Ontario have taken away that closure, and especially for our residents in L'Île aux Alumettes, who really were in an impossible situation for far too long. And I'm sure that Mayor Winston Sundstrom is very happy to have that obstacle, that major impediment removed.
I can say, Jane, that I'm not happy at all. I'm totally disgusted with that, with those police checkpoints.
Yeah, but they're not there anymore.
No.
But the 6 weeks. Go ahead.
I'm totally disgusted with those police checkpoints. So I'm not happy at all.
Mayor Sundstrom, I have an idea. I think we're not really prepared today for this meeting, but with your agreement, I think it would be appropriate to send a follow-up letter, and I'm happy to take carriage of that with your input, on exactly how it felt for people in the Pontiac, especially in your municipality, and it should go to the Premier of Ontario, who is in charge of that.
Well, I just have to say, I'm not happy with your role in this.
I didn't have a role in that.
Excuse me, this goes back to March of 2020, when you called publicly for the closure of the border, and it's carried on ever since. And tonight you're trying to explain that you've solved the problem, but I don't agree with that.
No, I'm not taking credit for solving the problem, Mayor Sundstrom. And as we all know, last year was a completely different circumstance. In fact, RSQ were directed by the Premier of the province, as well as the Medical Officer of Health. And the benefit overall was that we were COVID-free until September. And RSQ, I really, in retrospect, am amazed that 3 or 4 hours at a point, and they were stopping traffic in both directions. But what we found with the OPP is that they had, in some cases, I think it was recently this week, 10 cars, for example, at Portage. And there was an excessive amount of police supervision from Ontario, and they were not stopping anyone from their province coming in. And actually, they were returning the same day to Ontario, which couldn't have been good for their COVID statistics. And at the end of the day, we have many examples of our residents being treated very badly, very poorly. They were being followed they were being harassed. And even in some cases, employers were being called. So I'm going to follow up, and I'm going to do that on behalf of the Pontiac, because I heard from many people, and I think it's very important, and I hope that we never have to experience that again. So I would now like to, I'm sorry, I think you've made your point.
I think we're being nice to each other, Jane. So I hope that you never call for the closure of the border again.
I didn't call. And you know something, I may have to ask you to apologize for that statement. It was not my call. I don't have that much power, Mayor Sundstrom. I was in agreement with it because I was very concerned about our health.
You publicly called for the closure of the border in March of 2020 on CHIP radio.
Actually, I was joining 4 other wardens because it had to be unanimous for the whole Outaouais. Okay, and most people would say that considering it was managed much better than the recent one. And I can also say and take credit for the fact that when it was an issue for your municipality, it was me that chaired the meeting, called the meeting with Andre Fortin and with Sergeant Perron. And we made a special exception for your residents, which I think made it bearable.
I have to disagree. I have to disagree.
I'm chairing the meeting, and that's enough. We've had some, we've had some debate, and it's been worthwhile, but now we're going to continue the agenda.
And I'm getting my position.
Yes, yes, Mayor Armstrong.
If I may add, you're talking about the police harassing people and everything else. I've never heard anything like that. And for this to be going into the papers, and the people that are here tonight, I had to go across several times with my wife. They couldn't have been any more polite if they had it tried. I've never heard in any of the people that I've talked to around our area of anybody being harassed. If somebody maybe was stopped for going over for groceries, that's not being harassed. I'm talking about the Pontiac across the portage. I understand Winston's situation. I'm talking about going across the portage. If they were going across for groceries, that's not essential. And I'll tell you another thing, that today you could go to Value Mart and Giant Tiger, and the parking lots are almost empty because they're going back over. So, you can't have it both ways. But to put the police down in that way, I disagree with that 100%.
Well, thank you. I wasn't referring to Portage. The issue was just at Little Zalumet. Okay, it was not widespread. Yes. Go ahead. Actually, maybe you have some information about Portage, Lynn. Mayor Cameron, go ahead.
I drove to Renfrew every morning, 6 days a week, and there are 10 ahead and behind me. There was not one of them stopped at 7:30 in the morning. Where we're coming from? If they were coming from Quebec to Ontario, every Quebec car was stopped. I work at the tax office in Renfrew. There were many that were told coming and picking their taxes up was not essential. So, and John, you're saying going over for food was not essential, but coming over for beer was. So, no, it wasn't fair. And I was treated pleasantly every morning too when I was stopped. I was going to work. But for those that were turned away, for somebody that has a new car and needed to get an oil change where their car was and to be told it wasn't essential when it had to be done, or for her warranty. But some people were turned away for taxes. It depends on the police officer. And the officers here at the bridge, you have to take their consideration too. I was speaking one and he was actually spitting, like spit right on. That's not acceptable either. He's there doing a job. So I tend to differ a bit. Yeah, groceries they're a little higher up on the list to me than beer. That's all I have to say.
I would just like to...
Go ahead, John. Mayor Armstrong, go ahead.
If I may, I'd just like to answer that. I'm certainly not going to get into a debate over beer. That's a lot, the least things in my priority list above all things. So, but all I'm saying, and I know some people have said they had to get their oil changed. It was new Fords. Well, they said that they bought them in Ontario, but they said, you got a dealer in Shawville, get your oil changed there. They cover the same thing. It's all in warranty. But anyway, that's all I wanted to say. I'm not getting into that.
So I would just like to say that the only
has a Honda, John.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Mayor Cameron. I think there's one point that I want to make, and I simply want to give the perspective. I want to compare that in March, a small group of police officers were actually making a difference in both directions. But this time, with what Mayor Ford put into place at 43 different locations, I guess wherever there was a border crossing, there was an inequity because they put all of their efforts into preventing people from Quebec from coming into their province. And they had enough resources that they could have also helped us, especially when we had less cases of COVID in Quebec, if they could simply have slowed down the influx from Ontario. So that's the point of what I would like to write to him about. Now, as you know, they have advanced second vaccinations, which is great news. Originally, the date in Quebec was they hoped to have everyone with their first vaccination by the 24th of June. We did have 5 pop-up vaccination sites, one in Chapeau, Otter Lake, Shawville. There were 2 others, Portage, and it made a big difference. They got a great turnout, and now you can book your second vaccination. Maybe some people listening have already had that, but it's just great to see that it's making a big difference. We're still supposed to be wearing our masks, but I was amazed to read that this month it was decided that proms and grads could take place with 250 people in attendance. So, and I believe weddings can now take place with 50 people in attendance. So we're certainly seeing an increase, but getting back to Mayor Armstrong's point, I really want to encourage everyone to continue shopping local. And it really has helped the businesses, and please continue. In most cases, I think people have found new shopping habits and they're not going across the border. I'd like to give our Director General Bernard Waugh a chance to speak. Is there anything you'd like to say in terms of the MRC building, in terms of what we need to follow according to the provincial guidelines? Bernard Waugh, go ahead.
Yeah, what I could say is that in the wake of the new measures announced by the government, we are now evaluating to progressively allow citizens, hopefully, full access to our employee, to our locals and services in the building. We will make sure that the population is informed of that in the next weeks.
Okay, any questions of Bernard on that? Okay, seeing none, we'll go on to, thanks Bernard. Number 13, finances, and we'll need a resolution. Annie Viancourt. Annie, I think you're muted. I think you're muted, maybe. Can't quite hear you.
I was, sorry. I didn't click properly. Sorry, so for the monthly numbers for the MRC, for the accounts receivables, we're at $1,269,488.31. Most of that is all the loans that we have in the Economic Development Department for all the businesses. Then we have our list of bills that we need to pay. Those are a total of $122,878.38. There's a few maybe larger bills I can mention, like Coopérative d'Informatique Municipale. That's our monthly amount that we pay for the assessment. with the FQM agreement. We also had a coopérative Le Milieu, which is the caractérisation des paysages project. So that was 15,000, a little over 15,000. We also had a firm come in to do some work on our archives. So that was $5,000. There's also another agreement, entente sectorielle de développement bioalimentaire de l'Outaouais, so that's $30,000. We also paid for the tourism guides, Tourism Outaouais, $3,000. Other than that, it's a lot of just smaller bills, but if anybody has any questions, let me know. We also have bills that we paid in the last month for $391,898.22. A lot of those are grants from the FRR or culture funds, also regular bills like hydro and phones, Purelator, etc. That's it.
Okay, thanks, Annie. Any comments or questions? Could I have someone move this resolution? Moved by Councillor or Mayor Armstrong. Thank you. All those in favor? Opposed, and that carries. Thanks, Annie. Oh, you have another item, but this is just for information. The 2020 MRC audited financial statements. Are you going to be introducing someone? Or is this the?
Yes. Yes, our auditor should be here to present the audited financial statements for 2020. Okay. So we'll do a presentation and then the next point will be the resolution to adopt. So,
okay,
I don't know if he's here.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Okay. What is his name?
Simon.
Simon. Okay. Simon, are you here?
Bonjour, je suis là.
Okay, parfait. Commencez et bienvenue.
Parfait. Alors, bonsoir tout le monde. Merci beaucoup d'être présent. Dans le fond, merci beaucoup de m'inviter à venir faire la présentation des états financiers. On va garder la même formule que les dernières présentations. Donc, je vais faire la présentation en français et Annie va pouvoir poursuivre avec la traduction anglaise. Ce soir, il y a deux éléments vraiment que je vais venir présenter, là. Le rapport de l'auditeur, parce que c'est mon rapport, alors que les états financiers appartiennent à la MRC. Puis ce soir, il y a une particularité importante que je vais vous présenter dans le rapport de l'auditeur indépendant. Donc, je vais vraiment mettre l'emphase sur ce petit, un paragraphe. Veux-tu introduire Annie ou?
Oui. Can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
Yes, okay, just to make sure. While Monsieur Thibault is going to present his auditor's report first, and then talk about the results for the year. So his report is, there's just an important aspect in there that he wanted to mention and make sure everybody understood. So he'll explain that, and then we'll go on to the numbers.
Excellent, merci Annie. En fait, je vais lire un paragraphe, peut-être pas textuellement, mais c'est juste pour vous montrer l'ampleur qu'il y a. C'est que cette année, pour l'exercice terminé le 31 décembre 2020, le cabinet a formulé une réserve au rapport de l'auditeur indépendant. En fait, une réserve, c'est qu'on a noté quelque chose. Là, on peut le voir ici dans le paragraphe, il est marqué « Fondement de l'opinion avec réserve ». En fait, pour vous situer, les normes exigent, selon un chapitre, que l'on doit consolider toutes les entités qui sont dans le périmètre comptable. Et en fait, ce qu'on a appris au courant de l'exercice, c'est qu'il y a un organisme sans but lucratif qui s'appelle Connexion Fib-Picanoc, dont 2 membres de la direction siègent sur le conseil d'établissement et qui ont un rôle très important dans les opérations financières. Donc, en vertu du chapitre, il doit y avoir une consolidation des états financiers de Connexion Fib-Picanoc à l'intérieur des états financiers de la MRC. Cependant, nous n'avons pas pu obtenir les états financiers de connexion FIB-Picanoc car elles sont auditées par un autre auditeur. Donc, c'est pour cette raison-là que la note sur le fondement de l'opinion avec réserve explique la situation et qu'il y a une réserve au rapport de l'auditeur. Est-ce que tu veux traduire?
Oui, pas de problème. So for the, there was a qualified opinion done in the auditor's report this year because there was an important element that we could not include in our financial statements, which is the consolidation of Connexion FIB-Picanoc into our financial statements. We do have to do this, and the reason why it wasn't done for 2020 is because the audit of those financial statements are done by another auditing firm, and they were not ready on time for us to integrate them on time to adopt our financial statements this month, which was the due date. So, so there's a reserve, the opinion in there, and we will make sure to address that for next year.
Merci. Et à l'exception de cette réserve-là, c'est comme les exercices précédents, l'audit s'est bien déroulé. Il n'y a pas de réserve nulle part ailleurs. Il n'y a pas eu de déficience significative de constater. Donc, la réserve, elle est vraiment en lien avec Connexion FIB-Picanoc.
Okay, other than that, everything went well for the audit. There was nothing else out of the ordinary to mention. Everything was kosher.
Excellent. Là, maintenant, je vais t'inviter à aller à la page S16 pour la présentation de l'état des résultats. Cette année, je vais essayer une formule légèrement différente. En fait, c'est beaucoup d'informations qu'on vous donne, des analyses de variation, puis des fois, je sais que c'est beaucoup de chiffres, et je ne veux pas perdre tout le monde. Donc, la manière qu'on va procéder cette année, c'est que je vais expliquer les revenus totaux, les dépenses totales sans rentrer en précision dans chacune des rubriques. Ensuite, on va regarder aux fins fiscales pour vous donner votre bénéfice fiscal et je vais expliquer d'où proviennent les écarts. OK?
So for the presentation of the numbers, we'll just try and focus on the revenues, expenses, and what the end result is, and an explanation of that end result, where it comes from.
Excellent. Donc, pour les revenus totaux de l'exercice, 8 472 369 comparativement à 8 158 du budget. Si on regarde les dépenses totales, budget 7,8 millions, revenus réels 8 millions, ce qui crée un excédent comptable de 435 978 à la ligne 34. La page suivante. La page suivante, on va prendre le bénéfice de 435 000, puis on y apporte les ajustements comptables, ce qui va donner à la dernière ligne votre excédent fiscal qui est de 530 871. Donc, la MRC termine son exercice avec un surplus de 530 871 $. Je vais te laisser Annie traduire, puis ensuite, on pourra expliquer les variations.
Okay, so just to come back on the other page here. So if you look at the second column of numbers, that's your actual 2020 numbers versus the first column on the left is the budget. So revenues for the year were $8,472,369 versus a budget of $158,198. And then for the expenses, we had a budget of $7,893,656, and the actual expenses were $8,036,391. So there is a surplus here of 435,978. When we go to the next page is where kind of there's adjustments that have to be made to this amount to get to your actual surplus of the year, which is $530,871.
Excellent. Petit récapitulatif. Dans la comptabilité de la MRC, il y a des éléments qui ne théoriquement génèrent aucun revenu. Exemple, les baux de villégiature. Vous avez des revenus, mais les dépenses devraient être équivalentes et les revenus supplémentaires sont transférés dans les revenus reportés. Donc, les baux de villégiature, ils n'ont aucun impact monétaire à l'état des résultats. Même chose pour les TPI, les terres publiques intermunicipales. Même chose pour les FLI FLS. Même chose pour le FDT, parce qu'au FDT et les FARR, revenus égale environ les dépenses. Même chose pour le programme de la SHQ, il ne génère aucun excédent. Et même chose au niveau des amendes collectées et redistribuées.
Okay, so there are certain things, certain different departments where the that don't affect the end result of the MRC. So the surplus, these aren't taken into account there because the revenues equal the expenses. So for example, for the leases, it has its own accounting, so its own like surplus. It's not accounted in this. Also the TPIs, they have their own surplus. All the FLI FLS, those are the loans in the Economic Development Department, business loans. Also in economic development, we have the FDT fund, which is now FRR. So those always have revenues and expenses, which are the same. Same with the SHQ renovations programs, revenues and expenses are the same, and the fines that are collected.
Donc, tantôt, on vous a mentionné à la ligne 27, vous terminez l'exercice avec un excédent de 530 871. Voici ce qui a fait varier l'excédent comparativement au budget. Je vais commencer avec les variations sur les revenus, puis ensuite, je vais aller avec les dépenses. Donc, en fait, entre le budget et le réel, il y a eu une augmentation au niveau du bureau des immatriculations pour environ 19 000 $. Il y a également eu une augmentation pour les subventions de l'hygiène du milieu pour 109 000 $. Subvention de l'hygiène du milieu est la Fédération canadienne et des subventions pour le développement durable. Il y a également des frais administratifs qui ont été collectés sur les amendes redistribuées pour 11 000 $. Il y a également des augmentations au niveau des autres revenus pour environ 16 500 $. Au niveau des dépenses, avec la COVID, il y a eu une diminution importante des frais de déplacement qui ont fait économiser pour 52 500 $. Il y a également une diminution des grands événements. Il avait été budgété 20 000 $. Aucun dollar a été dépensé à cette rubrique budgétaire. Il y a également une diminution au niveau des salaires en évaluation. Au budget, 439 000 $, au réel, 293 000 $, soit une économie de 145 000 $ en salaire à cette rubrique. Il y a une augmentation, par contre, des frais d'évaluation pour environ 87 000 $. Il y a eu une diminution du salaire des ressources humaines pour 46 000 $. Diminution au niveau du salaire du service de traduction et partenariat pour aménagement de 25 000 $. Diminution au salaire en développement pour 21 500 $. Et finalement, il y a des affectations qu'on voit là, à la ligne 19 et la ligne 20. Au budget, vous aviez affecté 190 000 pour financer des dépenses, alors qu'en réalité, il y en a juste eu 92, ce qui fait une économie de 100 000 $. Et au niveau des excédents de fonctionnement affectés, vous aviez affecté pour 99 000 alors qu'il y a eu 109 000, ce qui représente une économie de 10 000 $. Donc, tout ça mis ensemble, ça vient expliquer environ pour 487 000 $ du 530 de surplus.
Allô, m'entendez-vous? Sorry. I got kicked out of the meeting, so j'ai manqué une partie. Excuse-moi.
J'ai
Tu
expliqué
voulais
le
que je
bas.
traduise, là?
Oui, j'ai expliqué le bas du tableau.
OK.
Que je t'avais
J'ai
préparé
manqué
sur
de
Excel.
Ouais, ben c'est parce que je partage mon écran, ça je peux pas l'ouvrir.
OK, ouais, non. OK, ben,
So
tu
just to explain, pardon?
veux-tu que je le reprenne ligne par ligne pour le traduire ou?
Oh, quand je vais arriver là, je vais commencer avec les
OK.
revenus dépensés, ça va.
Parfait.
To explain where the surplus comes from for 2020, there was the main elements we pulled out in the revenues and expenses. So for revenues, the License Bureau had about 19,000 extra revenues this year. There was also extra grants received in our environment department, some from the Fédération Canadian Federation of Municipalities. So it was 109,000 extra dollars there. We also had for the fines, there was an admin fee that we got to keep, so that's about $11,000. And then other revenues, there was an increase of $16,500 from the budget. As for expenses, we saw a large decrease in obviously kilometer expenses, traveling expenses due to COVID. So about 52,000 less in expenses there. Also, we had budgeted our $20,000 for large events, which none, took place. So that 20,000 was not spent. There was also 145,000 less spent than the budget in salaries for the evaluation department. There was a bit of an increase in our other fees for evaluation. There was also salary decrease, well, compared to budget, 46,000 less in our professional resources. Development salaries were also about 21,500 less. We had a translation budget in the land use department. That's $25,000 that was not spent. And then we had affected, that's where I lost you guys. I know 190,000 in a budget to be spent, but that's where we were. Simon, je sais pas si tu peux faire.
J'ai juste expliqué les affectations après. En disant qu'à la ligne 19, il y avait budgété 190 000 pour compenser pour les achats d'immobilisation. Finalement, il y a juste 92, donc c'est une économie de 100 000. Et les excédents de fonctionnement, vous avez affecté 109 000 au lieu de 99 000, ce qui représente 10 000 de surplus en revenus.
Okay, so yeah, so the 190,000 that was budgeted for investment activities was only 92,000, so about 100,000 less there. And also for the surplus non-affected, 99,000, and it was actually 109,000, so $10,000 there.
Exactement. Donc, le total de toutes ces économies représente 487 240 sur le 530 000. Les autres variations, c'est des petites variations ici et là, dans les états financiers.
So all these numbers put together represent about 487,000 of the 530. The balance of 40-some thousand are all sorts of little amounts all throughout the budget that add up to that.
Donc, la dernière information que je pourrais vous présenter ce soir, c'est à la page S23. En fait, c'est selon vos excédents. Donc là, on a 530 000 d'excédents de l'exercice qui viennent se combiner aux excédents de l'année passée, moins les affectations. Donc, au 31 décembre 2020, c'est la page S23 qui devrait être après la page 31. L'exercice, la MRC termine avec un excédent de fonctionnement non affecté de 1 178 810 $. Deux pages plus haut. Oui, c'est juste deux pages de l'autre côté. Ouais.
No.
Et voilà, tu devrais y arriver à l'autre page.
Excuse-moi, il y en a plusieurs, il y a 23.
Ouais.
Celle-là.
Exactement. Donc, ligne 1, l'excédent total, donc non-affected surplus, 1 178 810. Les affected surplus, 357 963. Réserves financières et fonds réservés, FLI, FLS, PAU, PME, 969 000. Les dépenses à constater, ce sont les dettes à long terme en lien avec les prêts FLI et l'INALT de 4,9 millions.
Okay, so in here we have so the non-affected surplus, $1,178,810, and then we have what is affected of $357,963. We have financial reserves, $969,605, which are our business loans. And then les dépenses à constater, sorry, $2,053,320 for your total of, and sorry, $4,981,854 for the INALT, and then you have your total of $5.4 million.
Et voilà, ça fait le résumé vraiment des données essentielles qu'on voulait vous transmettre ce soir.
And that completes the presentation for the most important information for tonight. If anybody has any questions.
Thank you for making it so interesting and for highlighting it. Are there any questions or comments that any of the Council of Mayors have for either Simon or Annie?
Just the one question, Jane. Will this be sent out to us? Will we get a copy?
Annie?
It's in ID side.
Okay, thank
It's
you.
in your ID
Okay.
side already.
Yeah, good question, Winston. Mayor Sundstrom, thank you. Okay, well, Annie, thank you very much. So I guess we could go to the resolution now. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was the presentation. And now I believe we have a resolution to accept it, correct?
Right.
Yeah, okay, perfect. So could I have someone, a mayor, move this resolution to adopt the 2020 audited financial statements of the MRC?
I will, Sandra.
Thank you.
Murray.
Yes, moved by Mayor Sandra Murray. All those in favor? Opposed, and that carries. And Mayor Ranger, I'm happy to see you. Excellent, thank you. We've been having perfect attendance at all of our meetings. Pardon me?
Oh, I just wanted to say thanks to Simon.
Yes.
Bienvenue.
Merci beaucoup, Simon. Bon travail.
Bienvenue. Bonne soirée à tout le monde.
Travis,
Yes.
did we vote on it? I think we did. I was busy greeting Mayor Ranger. I know that the resolution was moved and we did vote on it.
Yes, we did. So we're on item.
Thank you. Just wanted to make sure. Thanks so much. Okay, we'll go on to 15.2, the Human Resources Advisor. And this will be a resolution. Bernard Waugh.
Yes, thank you. I call this spring, so in April 2021, we call for applications to fill the position of the new position of Human Resource Advisor. The applications we received were reviewed by a selection committee, and the best suited candidate then were interviewed at the beginning of June. Consequently, it is proposed tonight to hire Mrs. Elaine Matheson as the Human Resources Advisor, starting to work on August 9th, 2021. So we need a resolution for that.
Okay, moved by Mayor
Doris.
Okay, Doris, actually Mayor Orr had his hand up first. Moved by Mayor Orr. All those in favor? Opposed, and that carries. Thank you. We go on to 15.3, the assessment equilibration of the assessment rule, Bernard Waugh, a resolution.
Yeah, considering the recommendation of the FQM evaluator regarding the equilibration of the role for the next 3-year cycle, so 2022 to 2024, in different municipalities of the MRC. And also considering that this recommendation is based on his observation of significant discrepancies between the roll values and the market prices for properties, considering the principle of fiscal fairness, which dictates that the municipal tax bills be divided based on the roll value close to a market value. And finally, considering the resolution received from the municipality of Litchfield, Lille-aux-Elmettes, and Alien-Keywood, agreeing with the equilibration of their assessment role for year 2022 and to 2024, we need a resolution to authorize the equilibration works for these 3 municipalities tonight.
Okay, moved by Mayor Karen Kelly. All those in favor? Opposed, and that carries. And then we go on to 15.4, the assessment application for extension of the filing of rolls for fiscal year 2022 to November 1st, 2021, a resolution, Bernard Waugh.
Yeah, we usually do that each year, but this year is exceptional because we have 14 municipalities over a total of 19 that need to be recalibrated this year. So considering that if the evaluator expects he won't be able to do that work before September 16th, 2021, in accordance with the section 71 of the Act respecting municipal taxation, the MRC is allowed to extend his work until November 1st, 2021. So we need a resolution just to authorize this extension to November 1st, 2021.
Okay, thank you very much. Moved by Mayor Karen Kelly. All those in favor? Opposed, and that carries. Thank you, Bernard. We'll go now to Annie Viancourt with Summer Invoices 2021, a resolution, or are you doing this, Bernard? Is this Annie?
I could.
You could, go ahead.
Yeah, it's just to mandate the warden, Mrs. Toller, and the Director General to approve for and on behalf of the MRC Pontiac, the bill to be paid this summer 2021 and during between today and August.
Okay. Moved by Mayor Gilles Dion. All those in favor? Opposed, and that carries. Number 15.6, replacement CFP board, a resolution, Bernard Waugh.
Yeah, myself and Mrs. Annie Viancourt, we are stepping down from our position on the board of Connexion Picanok, and we need a resolution to appoint you, Mrs. Warden, and Councillor Lynn Cameron as the new representative of the MRC Pontiac on the board of CFP. In the meanwhile, me and Mrs. Viancourt will continue to represent the MRC in all communication with the organization.
All right, thank you. Moved by Mayor Debbie Laporte. All those in favor? Opposed, and that carries. 15.7, the TDSP project FKIS, Bernard Waugh resolution.
So TDSP, la table de développement social du Pontiac, proposes a new project, namely un réseau aîné, consolidation et innovation de la table des aînés et retraités du Pontiac, so TEARP, which budget represents an amount of $53,000 for year 2021 to year 2023. This new project is part of TDSP action plan, and it is in conformity with the Fonds québécois d'initiative sociale, so the FKIS. And considering that the Conférence des Épreuves de l'Outaouais, so the CPO, acts as the trustee for the regional management of the Fonds québécois d'initiative sociale, the FKIS, we need a resolution to recommend the adoption of this project by the CPO at the next meeting of the CPO.
Okay. Resolution moved by Mayor. Who would like to move this resolution? Moved by Mayor Beauregard. All those in favor? Opposed, and that carries. Thank you, Bernard. And then we go on to 15.8. The paratransit grant for 2021 resolution.
The MRC Council have agreed to pay an operating subsidy for the year 2021 in the amount of $118,300 for Transport Action Paratransit. This amount is the part to be paid by the community in conformity with the MTQ financing program for paratransit. And considering that this subsidy commits the MTQ to pay its part of the financial contribution for paratransit, for this reason, we recommend to reserve an amount, to vote a resolution in order to reserve an amount of $118,300 for shares for Transport Action Pontiac for the year 2021.
Okay, thank you very much. Resolution moved by Mayor Gilles Dion. All those in favor? Opposed, and that carries. Thank you. Thank you, Bernard. 15.9, an MRC committee created for waste management. This was discussed at our last plenary, May 19th and June 9th plenaries. And Thierry Rambo has put together a mandate and says that a waste committee is being created. And the mandate of it is to work to improve the management of residual materials, such as recyclables, composting, and construction waste. The committee will be an opportunity for the 18 municipalities to work together, along with MRC staff, which are Carrie Richardson and Thierry Rambo, to review current procedures as well as share experiences, determine where services need to be improved, and to actively participate in the revision of the residual waste management plan. And so the first meeting will be held in August, and I'm just speaking about it for information. I think it's going to be very helpful to our staff at the MRC who have had difficulty having to work with individual municipalities. And also because I think the Pontiac can set an example in the Outaouais of a rural region that can be doing a lot more. And through this, we will be able to educate and encourage our residents. And we can also identify some areas like Mayor Ranger did recently, that the boat plastics, should be recycled or dealt with and not just put in the garbage, things like that. So we'll go on to, we have a resolution concerning the discovery of the 215 victims of the former residential school in Kamloops. And I would like to just take the time to thank all of the mayors who ensured that through their DGs and staff that their flags were flying at half-mast. And it was for 215 hours, one for each of the child victims of the former residential school in Kamloops. I think it was appreciated across the Pontiac that that was done. So thank you for that. And so we have a resolution to vote on tonight. Could we see it on the screen? Yes, there it is. And so is there a mayor in particular who would like to move this resolution? Moved by Mayor Gilles Dion. All those in favor? I'd like to be able to record it as unanimous. Is there anyone opposed? Okay, that's recorded as unanimous. Thank you very much. 17, there had been some discussion. Actually, I think it was Mayor Armstrong that had pointed out that this process doesn't really need to be rushed, but I had said that I would confer with our MNA, Andre Fortin, and his feeling is that we should let the ministers know now how we feel about Bill 96, and in particular, to reinstate our bilingual status and in particular, how it could impact on some local businesses and students. And so we do have a resolution that we've had a chance to look at it. And I would ask a mayor to move this resolution to reinstate our bilingual status. I have a feeling.
Lynn?
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you very much. Moved by Mayor Lynn Cameron. All those in favor? And could this be unanimous as well? Is there anyone who is opposed? Okay, thank you. So we'll record that as unanimous. Okay, we'll go to economic development. We have many items with our Director of Economic Development, Cindy Phillips. And we'll start with 18.1, which is the FLI-FLS, the rehaussement de la limite supérieure au plafond prévu, a resolution. Go ahead, Cindy Phillips.
Yes, good evening. We received a draft resolution from the Federation of Quebec Municipalities, which we have tailored for your consideration tonight, that basically states that the MRC wishes to increase the cap on financial aid available for businesses, which is currently set at $150,000 to $225,000, and this over a 12-month period. This is really to stimulate the post-pandemic economic recovery. Right now, with the caps in place, many of our businesses who have received emergency aid funding won't be eligible for a significant amount of funding to relaunch their economic activities. And so you have a resolution before you tonight to support the request to increase that funding cap.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Sure, everyone agrees this is important. Thank you. Could I have a particular mayor move this resolution? Moved by Mayor Donnie Gagnon. All those in favor? Opposed, and that carries. 18.2, the Vision 2030 Strategic Development Plan, a resolution. Cindy Phillips.
Yes, so you've heard Matthew's presentation earlier this evening. I did maybe want to take just a few moments to highlight a few things. Unfortunately, he failed to have the most up-to-date version of our mission, vision, and values put forth on behalf of the MRC Pontiac. And so I wanted to just make note that in the document you see attached in ID side, the mission, vision, and values have been updated to accurately reflect the position of the MRC. I also wanted to note, and I think it's important to note, that this document is a living document, and the intention is to review it on an annual basis and to have continual input with our stakeholders and partners and the elected officials of the MRC. Tonight you have attached the final plan in French, and the final plan in English is forthcoming. We just weren't able to have it complete and edited properly in time for tonight. But you do have before you tonight the resolution to adopt the new Vision 2030 Strategic Development Plan for the MRC Pontiac.
Thank you, Cindy. And the mayors will remember that when we had community consultation and went around when we began this process, that request came from a number of residents that this time they did want updates on how we were doing in the 10-year plan. So that's great. Who would like to move this resolution? Oh, go ahead, Mayor Newberry.
I just wanted to ask if it was possible to put it off for a month if there's no urgency for two reasons. The first is that the English version will be available. I would think that's important that the mayors get a chance to read it. And just that we didn't get much time there with just 1 week. I would like to make a few comments and I just didn't get the chance. So I think 1 week for such an important document is not too much for us to review.
I'll just say, I understand the point you're making, but I do think that many mayors are well aware because they attended meetings that were in English. And with all the work that has gone into this and the momentum that was built, and knowing that it would mean waiting till August, I think it's very important that we vote on it tonight. Would that be your wish? I would think so, Cindy. So would someone move this, please?
I will, Doris.
Thank you very much. So moved by Mayor Ronger. All those in favor? Opposed? Okay.
I'll be against, please.
Okay, just because of the timing. Okay, thank you. So that carries. Thank you very much. So we'll now go to 18.3, the FRR Strand 2, Support for Local and Regional Development Competencies of RCM. Cindy Phillips.
Yes, so we have 4 sub-items regarding Stream 2 of the Regions and Rurality Fund through the Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing. The first sub-item is regarding annual policies that must be adopted by the MRC Pontiac. We have 2 annual policies. The first one is our business support policy. And I just wanted to mention that the only changes made to this year's version of this policy is to add in the new Accès Entreprise Québec service, which will be put in place in our department, which will now handle business counseling and financial analysis of files. And the second policy for adoption tonight is our development projects policy, and there are no proposed changes to that policy. So you have both updated policies for this year to be adopted tonight.
Okay, very good. Thanks, Cindy. Any comments or questions? Could I have a mayor move this resolution? Moved by Mayor Karen Kelly. All those in favor? Opposed? And that carries. 18.3.2, the FRR priorities for 2021-2022, a resolution. Cindy Phillips.
Yes, so the proposed intervention priorities for 2021-2022 are directly aligned with the new Vision 2030 Strategic Development Plan, the Territorial Marketing Plan, as well as our entrepreneurship signature innovation stream of the FRR. So we continue with the same development axes, and the priorities lend themselves to the implementation of the action plans contained in Vision 2030. It is important that we demonstrate cohesive links between our various planning documents in order to ensure the support of the Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing. And so you have a resolution before you tonight to adopt the intervention priorities for 2021-2022.
Okay, thank you very much, Cindy. Any comments or questions? Could I have a mayor move this resolution? Moved by Mayor John Armstrong. All those in favor? Opposed? And that carries. Thank you. 18.3.3, the FRR Call for Projects 2021-2022, a resolution. Cindy Phillips.
Yes, this resolution is to adopt the schedule for the annual call for development projects under Stream 2 of the Regions and Rurality Fund. And so you have a schedule proposed before you for launching the call for projects on August 15th. Applicants to meet with the department between August 16th and September 14th. September 22nd, a meeting of the FRR Analysis Committee. For October 6th, presentation of recommended projects for adoption by the Regional Council of Mayors. And then we would have implementation period from August 2021 to October 2021 to October 2022. And so you have a resolution before you tonight to adopt that schedule for the call for projects.
Okay, great. Could I have someone move this resolution? Moved by Mayor Alain Gagnon. All those in favor? Opposed? And that carries. 18.3.4, Budget FRR 2021-2022, Resolution. Cindy Phillips.
Yes, so the last component tonight dealing with stream 2 of the FRR is to adopt our annual budget for this fund. The total funding amount available to the MRC for 2021-2022 was $1,546,805. And this budget is broken down into 3 components. We have development projects, regional management, and pre-committed projects. I'm not sure, Natasha, if you can click on the link, we can look in at the budget in a little bit more detail. So under development projects, we have our FRR development projects, which is the funding for the call for projects, which I just spoke about, an amount of $416,632. Funding for our business support policy, $350,000. Our contribution to the biofood sectoral agreement is $30,000. And it's worth noting that this amount represents 2 years of a 3-year agreement. And so next year's contribution will be reduced to $15,000. We have our agreement with the CRAC for the Arter program, a project for an agricultural platform being led by Crédit Théo. Our contribution to the new Place aux Jeunes program under the umbrella of CAFO Jeunesse Emploi. $10,000 allocated for special projects with Tourism Outaouais, and this actually leverages an additional matching $10,000 for tourism promotion projects. We have agro-tourism project fund of $45,000 and a nautical plastic pilot project in the amount of $10,000. Project promotion under the territorial marketing in the amount of $10,000. We have decided to move the budget line item for large events out of shares into the FRR budget. So you have a $20,000 allocation for large events. Renovation of our tourism information kiosk in the amount of $43,000. $2,000 to contribute to a signage harmonization plan being organized by Loisirs Sport Outaouais, and this will be a contribution from each MRC in the Outaouais region. A $40,000 fund to aid businesses with facade and signage improvements, and specifically relating to any signage upgrades that will have to be done as a result of the proposed Bill 96. And then as a $5,000 amount for the University of Quebec in Outaouais to document our pilot project of agricultural immigration. Under regional management, you can see there are 2 amounts noted there to offset the HR costs of our commissars, as well as a small amount which covers our current agreement with the SADC for business accompaniment. Right now, we are going on a month-to-month in anticipation of putting the new service Accès Entreprise Québec in place internally here at the MRC. And then finally, under pre-engaged projects, we have the maintenance of the PBJ, $85,000, management of residual waste, $7,100, the PDZA, our agricultural development zone plan, $15,000 for the updating of that plan. $4,000 is our contribution to the mental health social worker for the agricultural sector. $45,000 for tourism marketing. $60,000 for the update of our land use plan, and $10,000 for our Chemin d'Eau tourism route. So those are the breakdown of the proposed budget for Stream 2 of the Regions and Rurality Fund for 2021-2022. And you have a resolution to adopt that tonight.
Okay, thank you very much, Cindy. Would someone move this resolution, please? Moved by Pro Warden Cartier Villeneuve. All those in favor? Opposed? And that carries. Thank you. We'll go on now to recommendation for COVID-19 financial aid, a resolution. Cindy Phillips.
Yes, you have 3 recommendations being put forward tonight as expenses under the COVID-19 aid funding that we have received from the Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing. These represent the 3rd, 4th, and 5th recommendation under this fund. The 3rd recommendation is concerning the libraries on the territory. Our libraries have been particularly hard hit during the pandemic, and many were faced with COVID-19 related expenses that were not anticipated. And so we have a breakdown of those costs and a request for funding, a total amount of funding in the amount of $50,000, $50,500, which will help aid 8 libraries serving 11 municipalities across the territory. The next recommendation is for technology, specifically for equipment and servers. Technology is one of the areas that really has become a focus during and post-pandemic. And so we have a recommendation for an expense in the amount of $43,325 to support IT equipment and servers for the MRC. And lastly, you have a recommendation for $180 for the purchase of 3 containers for recycling of medical masks, which will be placed at each entrance of the MRC offices. And so you have a resolution tonight before you to adopt those 3 recommendations under the COVID-19 funding.
Okay, thank you. Could someone move this recommendation, please? Moved by Mayor Debbie Laporte. All those in favor? Opposed, and that carries. 18.5, the Investment Committee recommendations, a resolution. Cindy Phillips.
Following the regular meeting of the MRC Pontiac Investment Committee, which was held on June 2nd, 2021, you have 1 recommendation coming forward tonight, MRC CI 2021-0604, for a grant in the amount of $48,000.
Okay, any questions or comments? Could I have a mayor move this resolution? Moved by Mayor Alain Gagnon. All those in favor? Opposed? And that carries. Thank you. We go to donations and sponsors. 18.6.1, the Chapeau Agricultural Society.
Yes, we've received a request for a donation from the Chapeau Agricultural Society. They have launched their summer farmers market, which opened to the public on June 10th. And Chantal Lair and I actually had the chance to attend, and their opening day went very well. They will be open Thursdays from 2 to 7. So they are looking to install a sign at the entrance to the market to promote that the market is open at the Chapeau Fairgrounds. And so you have a recommendation for a donation of $500 to offset these costs.
Okay, thank you. Could I have a mayor recommend that? Thank you very much, Mayor Karen Kelly. All those in favor? Opposed? And that carries. 18.7. A recommendation for the FAR project, Valorisation des Milieux Naturels, a resolution. Cindy Phillips.
Yes, and as part of the FAR project for the conservation and valorization of our natural habitats, there were several mandates for which we put out a call for proposals for a consulting firm to aid us. The 2 mandates specifically are for the pre-feasibility for the national park, as well as a cultural and heritage significant study of the area. We received 3 submissions, 2 of which were admissible. They were scored by a committee, and you have a recommendation before you tonight to accept the offer of service from Touriscope in the amount of $40,000, which meets all requirements under our grant from the Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing.
Great, thank you so much. Could I have a mayor move this resolution?
I will, Jane.
moved by Mayor Newberry. All those in favor? Opposed, and that carries. Good to see that moving forward. 18.8, a recommendation for the FAR Regional Agricultural Market Recommendation, a resolution. Cindy Phillips.
Yes, lastly, tonight you have a final resolution before you to adopt, to accept an offer of service, and this is for another FAR project, the Regional Agricultural Market. One of the mandates in our FAR funding from the Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing is to do the study for a physical location for a farmer's market. And so we have received an offer from the Association of Public Markets of Quebec in the amount of $12,500 to fulfill this mandate under our FAR project. It meets all of the requirements for the ministry.
Very good. Would someone like to move this resolution? Moved by Mayor Beauregard. All those in favor? Opposed, and that carries.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Excellent. Thank you, Cindy. Public safety, Julian Gagnon. With us, Julian? Yes, there you are. 19.1, the bylaw 271-2021, fire prevention, MRC of Pontiac. Go ahead.
Yes, so we have a resolution tonight to adopt the new version of a fire prevention bylaw. Of course, this bylaw aims to reinforce certain aspects of our current fire prevention and to correct some deficiencies we may have had in the past. As always, its goal is to better protect the residents and the public in general against fires in public buildings and within their homes. So the current version of our bylaw was adopted in 2014, and following the adoption of our revised fire safety cover plan in 2017, the bylaw was due for revision by the Fire Safety Committee of the MRC. So the main additions to this bylaw include the standardization of the requirements pertaining to outdoor fires across the MRC, whether they be in small appliances or large open air fires, as well as some adjustments to our smoke alarm requirements and addition of the requirement to equip certain homes with carbon monoxide alarms, among other things. So this bylaw will be available for consultation at the MRC website. So you have before you today a resolution for the adoption of the bylaw as the notice of motion was given last month.
Okay, could I just ask a question while we're in public? We have a fire ban at the moment. Yes.
Yes, we do.
Thank you. And I had a few residents email me quite concerned that their neighbors are having large open fires. And they wanted to know if they do see a large open fire, who do they call?
So they would contact their local fire department through the 911 services. So just call 911 to get hold of your local fire department. I must specify though that the fire ban is given by the SUPFER. Yes. So if it is near a forest, there is a fire ban, but we have to keep in mind SUPFER does let everyone know that small enclosed appliances with a spark arrestor grill is permitted as per their rules, even when there is a fire ban. But municipalities are allowed to be equal or more strict on this requirement. So all residents should verify with their own municipality, as it is a municipal competence, to see whether or not those specific fire pits that have the spark arrestor screens are permitted or not, because sometimes they are and sometimes they aren't, depending on the municipality.
And I had one other question. If it is an open fire and there isn't a screen over it, what are the consequences? Is it a fine, or what does someone receive?
Yes, it would likely be a verbal or written notice the first time, and any subsequent recurrence of that same event would likely result in a fine.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions or comments?
If I can just add,
Yes,
Jane.
go ahead,
Mayor
Laporte.
We had a few residents who made fires, and if they tell the firemen like to actually get out of their yard just because they're making a fire and they're having a good time or whatever. So what we did in the past is have them call the SQ, because if the SQ shows up, then they have the power to give them a fine, because the municipality, depending on The bylaw that they have, they cannot do that.
Good point.
So when you do call 911, you can say it's for a fire, but you want the SQ to be involved, and that takes care of the problem a lot faster.
Yeah. And I'm not sure, but I think the SQ make a point of also calling the fire department. Okay, thank you very much. That's good information. So we need a resolution moved by
Sandra Murray.
Okay, Mayor Sandra Murray. All those in favor? Opposed? And that carries. 19.2 intermunicipal agreement fire prevention, a resolution. Julian Gagnon.
Yeah, so once again, in relation to the previous item on the agenda, the fire prevention bylaw, we are proposing tonight an intermunicipal agreement between the MRC and its 18 municipalities to simply set out the roles in which each organization will play in the application of that bylaw. So it's described in the fire safety cover plan that the municipalities would be in charge of obviously firefighting operations, residential building inspections, issuance of permits, and so on, while the MRC keeps its role in the inspection of higher risk buildings with its fire prevention inspector. So this agreement is not intended to modify any of these roles. It just simply wants to put them in writing to better indicate each other's roles in the application of this new bylaw. So the resolution before you tonight is to adopt this draft intermunicipal agreement to be proposed to the local municipalities, who will then have 60 days to deliberate and or adopt a resolution to take part in it if they wish to do so.
Great. Any questions of Julian? Okay, could I have someone please move this resolution? Moved by Mayor Karen Kelly. All those in favor? Opposed? And that carries. Thank you, Julian. We go to Kim Lesage, our engineer, regional infrastructures. 20.1, road infrastructure, Pontiac to Gatineau. This is a resolution. Kim Lesage.
During the May plenary, there was a presentation of the MTQ to the Council of Mayors about planned road improvements in the Outaouais in the next couple of years. During that meeting, there was a discussion regarding plans dating from the 70s for the construction of an east-west highway, then known as Highway 50 between Couillon and Gatineau, by bypassing the main urban centers from the north. It was therefore suggested to make an official request to the MTQ to reopen this file and for the MRC to receive any information concerning the MTQ's short-term and long-term plans for the development of any road infrastructure between the MRC Pontiac and the city of Gatineau. And it would also be proposed to forward a copy of this resolution to our MNA, Andre Forte.
And I'd like to give credit to Mayors La Riviere and Newberry, who I think are the ones that brought this to our attention. So would one of them like to move the resolution?
I'd like to move it.
You want to? Okay, sure, Mayor Newberry. Thanks very much. All those in favor? Opposed? And that carries. Then we go on to 20.2, the 2021 PPJ maintenance work. Kim Lesage, a resolution.
As in previous years, MRC has maintenance work to be carried out on the PPJ as provided for in our budget, and in combination with two financial assistance programs, so the Route Verte program and the Recreational and Sports Infrastructure program. It's anticipated that by the end of this year, we'll have about $70,000 that would be available in the 2021 budget for maintenance work. So we are proposing to prioritize granular resurfacing and ditching work between Clarendon and Campbell's Bay. Also to launch the call for tenders to obtain bids for this work and to award the contract to the lowest and compliant bidder.
Okay, thank you. Any questions or comments? Could I please have someone move this resolution? Moved by Mayor Maurice Beauregard. All those in favor? Opposed? And that carries. Okay, we'll go on to 20.3, the Cyclo Park PPJ advertising policy. Kim Lesage, a resolution.
So we've received in the past few months a few requests from local businesses that would wanting to advertise their services along the regional park. Now, considering that we have a local and sustainable purchasing policy, and considering also that the PPJ includes locations where local advertisement could temporarily be installed. We're proposing tonight that the MRC adopt an advertising policy for the Cycloparc PPG. We have a policy before the mayors that is presented and includes the following points. So how to make a request. There's details for size and guidelines for the signs, including a template for businesses to follow, limit to the number of signs at certain locations, also guidelines on how they should be installed and removal. And if everyone's in agreement, then we're looking to adopt this policy tonight.
Okay, could I play any questions? Could I have someone move the resolution? Moved by Mayor Debbie Laporte. All those in favor? Opposed? And that carries. 20.4, Bylaw 272-2021, amending Bylaw 254-2019 on contract management, a resolution. Kim.
So we have a bylaw on contract management to be adopted tonight. In accordance with Section 124 of Bill 67, municipalities are required to include in their contract management bylaws as of June 25th of this year and until June 25th of 2024, measures that would favor Quebec goods and services, as well as suppliers, insurers, and contractors who have an establishment in Quebec. So it would be proposed to adopt bylaw 272-2021, which will amend MRC bylaw 254-2019 on contract management by adding a few paragraphs declaring that the MRC must favor Quebec goods and services who have an establishment in Quebec. So a notice of motion was given last month for this bylaw, and we would propose to adopt it tonight.
Okay, excellent. Any questions or comments? Did you want to say something, Mayor Newberry?
No, just that I would make the motion.
Okay, yes, you can make the motion. Okay. All those in favor? Opposed? And that carries. 20.5, protective mask recycling. Kim Lesage, this is for information.
I'm not sure if you can open up the JPEG that's there. It's just a picture. But Go Zero is the only Quebec company that provides a solution to easily collect and recycle single-use masks. Go Zero recycles various types of disposable face masks into recycled plastic materials that are then processed into new products. So this is just a point of information to let you know that the MRC has just purchased 3 recycling boxes for masks used by MRC employees, elected officials, and clients. They're located at all entrances of the MRC building. And the COVID-19 financial aid funds will be used to reimburse this purchase as presented earlier by Cindy. So for anyone who's interested in getting more information on this company and the procedures, they can contact myself or my colleague Thierry Rimbaud.
Okay, thank you. Any questions or comments? Could I have someone move this resolution, please?
Oh, it's just a point of information, Jane.
Oh,
Thank
pardon
you.
me. You're right. I'm so used to us voting on everything. Thanks so much. Just for information. Management of territory. Thank you very much, Kim. Excellent. Management of territory. Our manager of territory is Jason Durand, and the first item is 21.1, contract by mutual agreement, new land use and development plan. It's a resolution by Alexandre Savoie-Parent. Are you here, Alexandre?
Oui, effectivement. Donc, c'est une proposition de résolution pour donner un contrat à Carole Dolan pour effectuer la traduction éventuelle du futur schéma d'aménagement et de développement, donc du français à l'anglais. So it's basically a proposal to authorize a contract with Carol Dolan to undertake the translation of the master plan from the future master plan from French to English. So we might be starting some of this work this summer, and I would like to have a resolution to start
Get
conducting.
started. Yeah, very good. Any questions or comments? Okay, could someone please move this? Moved by?
I will.
Mayor Jim.
Sandra.
Okay, Sandra. I'll let you move it then. Moved by Mayor Sandra Murray. Thank you. All those in favor? And opposed? And that's approved. Thank you. We'll go on to 21.2, a resolution for approval of the Waltham bylaw. Go ahead, Alexandre.
Donc, ce point, ça concerne l'approbation d'un changement de zonage pour Waltham. So it's basically a zoning change approval for Waltham municipality. We can look at the two maps just to show you and the public what the main differences will be. So this is the previous map. So as you see, CO5 is a conservation zone. Donc la zone CO5 est une zone de conservation. This zone will be reduced in order to have only the Finlay Islands incorporated within it. Donc les seules îles Finlay vont être comprises dans la prochaine zone CO5. La rive en bordure de la rivière là, va faire partie de la nouvelle zone RT3. Donc, on peut ouvrir la carte numéro 2 là, pour voir la différence.
Okay, thank you. Any questions or comments?
Donc, ici, on voit que the residual of CO5 will be moved to RT3.
Okay, thank you. Would someone move this, please? Moved by Mayor Alain Gagnon. All those in favor? Opposed? And that carries. Thank you. 21.3, adoption of the strategic vision statement, a resolution. Alexandre.
Donc, ceci, ça se termine le processus qu'on a débuté en 2019 et officiellement, peut-être vous vous rappelez, on avait adopté au conseil de février 2020 le projet d'énoncé. So basically, this whole process started in 2019. Council carried the draft statement in February of 2020. If some of you recall these steps. So tonight we are tabling the final public consultation report. Donc ce soir, c'est un dépôt de documents au conseil qui sera également public et disponible pour la population. Donc dépôt du rapport de consultation publique. On peut regarder une version, maybe the English one. So it's the second document. Je vais pas tout lire, mais je vais juste présenter the main elements. Donc, au début du document, vous avez un peu un rappel des étapes. So you will have a reminder of the main steps that were undertaken, the procedure, members of the advisory committee, donc les membres de la commission consultative qui ont participé au projet, un partenariat avec le Carrefour Jeunesse Emploi pour faire participer la jeunesse, some aspects on universal accessibility for the public consultations that took place last fall, so we had preoccupation for that. Et par la suite, vous avez le résumé de chaque séance. So for each of the 11 sessions, you have kind of a summary of what was expressed by the public or any organization that was attending these sessions. Et si on continue donc un peu plus loin, vous allez avoir les résumés des 34 mémoires qu'on a reçus. So we received 34 briefs in 2020 regarding these consultations and a summary of these briefs and the associated changes to the statement, if any, were also mentioned regarding each of these briefs or documents. Donc, à la fin, vous avez finalement les avis publics des consultations. Donc, il y en avait un général. We also had one for Clarendon because we have to move the session from Shawville to Clarendon. And finally, a third, the 11th session was online, so we had to add another public notice. Then you will also see the poster for Pontiac Youth Center, donc le Carrefour Jeunesse Emploi. And lastly, you have all the 34 briefs or memoirs. Donc, les 34 mémoires sont disponibles également à la fin du document dans la langue soumise. So basically, if it was submitted in English, it will be only in English. If it's submitted only in French, it will only be in French. Toutefois, les deux rapports sont disponibles en français et en anglais, and they will be available on our website. If not this week, it will be next week. Donc ça, c'est un dépôt pour le conseil. Maintenant, l'autre document, c'est plutôt l'énoncé final, so the final statement. that we are proposing. Maybe just for the public, we had a couple of meetings with the advisory committee, so members of the council follow up with this project. Donc, les membres de la commission consultative sont les membres du conseil qui suivent ce projet. On a eu une rencontre à la mi-décembre ainsi qu'une à la fin mars pour bonifier l'énoncé et voir si les ajustements là, proposés concordaient. Donc, ça correspond à l'énoncé final. Là. Donc, en fait, le document d'énoncé complet et l'énoncé final, c'est la dernière page. Donc, ce serait, une fois adopté, l'énoncé de vision stratégique du Pontiac pour les 20 prochaines années, which would be the official statement. Every regional county municipality in Quebec is required to have such a statement according to the Quebec Planning Act. Donc, en vertu de la loi sur l'aménagement et l'urbanisme, toute MRC doit avoir un énoncé, alors ça sera l'énoncé final. Voilà. Question, question?
Any questions or comments? Okay. Seeing none, we will have someone move this resolution, please. Moved by Mayor Morris Beauregard. All those in favor? And unless anyone's opposed, this perhaps should be adopted unanimously. Unanimous, thank you. Merci beaucoup, Alex.
Merci, thank you.
21.4. This is with Jason Durand and perhaps Thierry Rambo. A request to the MELCC for the accuracy of industrial, commercial, and institutional tonnages.
Yes, exactly. Hello again to everybody. This is actually a resolution in support towards the MRC of Bellechasse to ask the Ministry of Environment to re-examine the exactitude of tonnage in province of ICI, which is industry, commerce, and institution. So as they know, they've lived up some difference up to 30% from this province. So resolution in support to ask the ministry to re-examine the tonnage.
Okay, very good. Could someone please move this resolution? Moved by Mayor Karen Kelly. All those in favor? Opposed? And that carries. Okay. 21.5, the MRC elected representatives for the Agence des Forêts Privées de l'Outaouais. Go ahead, Jason.
Yeah, this is actually, we're allowed to have a third person of the municipal role to sit on the board of this Agence des Forêts Privées de l'Outaouais. So we're asking resolution to asking to have Maurice Beauregard, Mayor Beauregard, to sit on this board. Donc, asking a resolution.
Okay, thank you.
I'll make the motion.
You'll move that. Thank you very much, Mayor LaRiviere. All those in favor? Opposed, and that carries. 21.6, a règlement for 253-2019 concernant le camping récréatif. Jason Durand, a resolution.
Yes, as you know, we had a notice of motion at last council. So it gave us a month to think and analyze for the, so now in other words, we're asking to go to adopt and go ahead with the modification of the camping bylaw. So asking resolution to go for adopt the new bylaw.
Okay, any questions or comments? Could I have someone move this resolution, please? Moved by Mayor Jim Gibson. All those in favor? Opposed? And that carries. 21.7, the MRC Strategic Forestry Action Plan and Consultant, Jason Durand, and Cindy's name is beside it as well. Jason?
Well, like as you described earlier, Jane, this is actually to go ahead with the going of hiring a consultant that would help us with our strategic plan and action plan regarding forestry for the Pontiac. So this is actually asking having resolution to be mandated to have this firm to decide to identify a firm that would be able to do this mandate.
Okay, thank you very much.
I'd like to make a point. on this resolution. I just want to mention that approximately a year ago, actually almost to this date, the strategic plan was presented at a forestry meeting, and there was a recommendation from Régent Dugas to go forward with an action plan. And at that point, it was the recommendation was strongly turned down by the warden. So I'm just wondering why a year later, because nothing happened in that whole year, when something could have happened between June last year and December, when we did have a consultant working for the MRC that was working on worked on the strategic plan, that actually wrote it, and that was ready to work on the action plan with the technical committee, and that was, it would have been all paid for. We wouldn't have to spend $25,000 now. So you said a while ago that Jason works in forestry, and he does, but Jason does not have the time, and he specified many times that he does not have the time to work on any kind of projects. And it seems that the one that is running the forestry at the MRC Pontiac is the warden, because we don't, that's just what I can see anyway. I don't know if anybody else sees it, but that's the way I see it. And I'm very disappointed that a year later, when the strategic plan sats still with nothing happening, is represented at the Lac à l'Épaule, and then all of a sudden tonight we're going forward with an action plan. I will not vote against it. I'll vote for it because I do want it to go. I've agreed all along that we need an action plan, but I just want the public to know that, it's been sitting still for a year.
Well, that, as they say, there are two sides to every story, Mayor Lariviere. And when this was brought to the Forestry Committee, there were many things mentioned in that strategic plan, and there were other things that were not. And so I think, excuse me, Mayor Lariviere,
the same strategic plan.
I have to slam the gavel. I've got the chair right now. Please turn your mic off. Turn your mic off, please.
I'll listen to you, Jane. Don't tell me what to do.
Well, usually it's one speaker at a time. So getting back to last year, there were also a number of mayors, exactly 9 on our council, who did not agree with that consultant. So that consultant is no longer with us. And I think the benefit today is that we have 3 former mill sites that all have a very good chance of reopening. Even though they're privately owned, I think that if we don't have mill sites open and we can't offer jobs, it's one thing to have studies and studies and strategies, but at the end of the day, what enables jobs is having investors and businesses moving forward. And what I think we have today is a very well-rounded strategic vision, but as everybody in the Pontiac knows, last year it got very political. We were having a lot of votes, 9-9. And this is why I recommended at our forestry committee, which I do chair. So you can say I run forestry. Well, that's a big compliment. I certainly don't run the forestry, but I am the chair of the committee. And I am the warden that ran for election on one thing in particular, and that was forestry, because everyone was saying in the Pontiac that forestry was dead. And I said that my main goal was to bring forestry back and to at least start discussion again. And so, I think that having an outside company who has not been embroiled in because one thing I've learned about forestry, certainly in the province of Quebec, it's a very political subject and feelings run very deeply. And we can say that about the Pontiac. But today we have a well-rounded plan. But what we need is we need expertise from a successful company who has the perspective of the whole province of Quebec and maybe even all of Canada, who can take all of our ideas, which that's what our plan is right now. It's a collection of ideas, and put it into a plan that will have a schedule. And I'm really excited to see what it is that they suggest. And I'm very happy to just let them do their work, and then they'll come back and they'll present it to us.
Well, it's an excellent campaign speech. Congratulations. That's all I have to say.
You know, it's funny. Are you referring to the election by any chance, Mayor LaRiviere? Because there have been no announcements made. And we have many months. In fact, I think it's very important in an election year to get as much work as we can get done without even thinking about the election. So that's the plan. So everybody seems to support the need for this consultant or company, and we're leaving it in the hands of our manager of territory, Jason Durand. So who would, I think you offered to move the resolution, Mayor LaRiviere, is that correct?
I believe Winston has his hand up.
Can I ask a question also, Jane?
Go ahead, Mayor Alain Gagnon, yes.
Just to clarify, the way you're speaking, or I'm understanding, did we already pick a company for this?
Oh, no, we haven't. What happened at the Forestry Committee is that Jason Durand mentioned one particular company that he thought could be suitable, but is the name of the company in the resolution tonight? Jason?
No, it's not, Jane. And by the way, I would mostly call it a firm and not a company. Mostly like
It's a
consulting firm, yeah.
Consulting firm, okay. Did you have any concerns about that, Mayor Alain Gagnon?
No, not at all. Just,
you just wondering.
Are we going a call for tender, or are we getting together, or how are we proceeding?
Jason?
Honestly, we were thinking going agree. We already have a firm in sight, in mind. I've personally already talked to some representative of this firm, and they would actually be they would be proudly, how could I say, they would accept the mandate so far at this point. However, I don't want to go too far in the process by divulging and everything, certain things. We still have to sit down with this firm and identify, say, having a good, how could I say, having all the right information and the expectation that we want out of this before having a contract signed.
Yeah. No, I'm not asking for the names, but anyway, that's something you suggested, Jason.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Mayor Sundstrom, question?
Yes, just two comments. One on the resolution.
Yes.
If I certainly trust Jason Durant in terms of his expertise, and in terms of the resolution, if it's possible, if a company is identified, could they make a presentation to the Forestry Committee to spell out the terms of what they're going to do in this file? So that's one comment I have.
Can I ask you a question just on that? Do you want them to speak to the Forestry Committee before a decision is made to sort of hear what they have to say, or once they've been chosen? What did you mean?
I'd like them to make a presentation on their expertise before they're chosen. So that we'll know what we're getting into.
Yes, okay.
Second comment that I wanted to make was in support of Mayor LaRiviere. We did have from June 2020 to December of 2020, or should I say from June 2020 to November the 25th of 2020, we did have two very competent people capable of putting together an action plan. So we missed the boat there when we didn't assign that project or that task to them. And so I think it should have been brought to the Council of Mayors for a decision about the future of the action plan.
Do you mean now or back in November? What did you mean?
Back in June of 2020.
Oh, okay. All right. Could I ask a question? So you're recommending 25,000, and we identified this money from money that was not needed from the energy from waste. Is that correct? Cindy, I'll just ask you about that part.
Yes, in the 2019-2020 FDT budget, we had allocated $50,000 for an energy from waste feasibility study for consulting fees. And we have not used any of that money. And so it is now part of our FRR Stream 2 money. And so it has not been reallocated. And so a portion could be reallocated to this if that's what the Council of Mayors wishes.
Great. Okay. So moved by, I think Maurice Beauregard. Okay. Thank you, Mayor Beauregard. All those in favor? Opposed? And that carries. So now we go to the miscellaneous. 22.1, the telecommunication tower. Oh, before we leave forestry, I did want for the benefit of the public to know that, and actually the other mayors who are not on the forestry committee, we began our forestry committee meeting with the announcement about Claude Gravel passing away. Very important contributor on the forestry committee and also representing the Pontiac Wood Producers Board. And we had a 1 minute silence. So just want to convey all of our sympathy and consolation, comfort to his family. So now we'll go on to 22.1, telecommunication tower in Bristol, a decision. Information, Alexandre Savoie-Perron, please.
Effectivement, donc c'est un point d'information pour les élus, le public. Donc, la compagnie ExploreNet prévoit installer une tour de télécommunication à Bristol sur le chemin Wharf en zone agricole. Donc, la Commission de protection du territoire agricole du Québec a autorisé l'installation. So basically, ExploreNet, which is a telecommunication company, is proposing to install a telecommunication tower on Wharf Road in Bristol. And this needed a Quebec Farmland Regulation Board authorization since it's in farmland. And this decision was granted a couple of weeks ago.
Was that at your Bristol Council, Mayor Orr? Or was it granted by whom? Just curious.
CTPAQ.
Okay, CPTIQ. Okay, very good.
Yes.
Yep.
So it's just here for information, correct, Alex? We don't need to vote on it.
No, it's just point of information. For
Point of
information.
Okay, very good. Thank you. And then finally, 22.2, the fire ban information, Julian Gagnon. Is Julian still with us?
I can take if he's not there.
Oh, you can take Bernard.
You can. I can talk. Just a reminder. We already mentioned it sooner. Usually, already mentioned it. It's just a reminder that there's a ban now on open fire, and just to invite population to be very cautious with that. Then take information with the municipality if required.
Very good. Thank you very much for that. So we don't need to vote on that. So unless there's anything else that I have missed, Travis, are we good? I think we're ready to close the meeting. So could I have someone make a resolution to close the meeting? Moved by Karen Kelly, Mayor Karen Kelly. All those in favor, opposed, and that's carried. And I'd like to wish everyone, whether you're taking some time off or not, we do not have a meeting in July. Have a good rest, a good break, everybody, and continued vigilance on COVID-19.
Hey, Jane, if I
Oh,
could
Mayor
real
Newberry, the
fast,
last word. Go ahead.
I just seen that on Sub Further, there's a partial lift on the fire ban today, like tonight. So
Okay.
Pontiac is out of the.
We're out of it. Okay. But still, we need to have those enclosed with the screen on top. Is that
Yes.
correct? Okay. Thank you very much. I guess we've had a lot of rain recently. So thank you very much, everybody. Thanks for your patience, and thanks to everyone who was tuning in.
Thank you,
Good night,
Jane.
all.
Good night.
Thanks,
Good
Karen.
night.
Good night, everybody.